with this case told me, you've been burnt for over $40,000 worth of bad decisions, right? Is that correct? So first off, what were these things, or what were these? You mentioned one was a roof and the other one was a bathroom. In the past, when you went back and looked at it, how did you go about making that decision, and how did you choose the companies that you chose to basically when you were going to make that decision for? What'd your agenda look like? And they'll share with you. I went through the yellow pages. We got a friend of a family. We called a big national company, whatever it might is, and we came out to it, and everything looked good, so we just decided to sign that night. And we wished it was the dumbest thing we ever did. We not only did it once, we did it twice, and now we're never freaking doing it again. We got burnt from a referral, and we got burnt from this. Well, man, I'm so sorry that happened. Right? That sounds miserable. So, can I ask you a question? It sounds like to me, you've kind of related to making a decision the same night as a value of $40,000 in the wrong direction. Is that true? Yeah. And that's why you're never going to do that again? Yeah. Well, if I were in your situation, I probably would say the same thing, and I wouldn't do anything different, because that's miserable. And I'm sorry you had to live with that. I apologize for our industry. Can I ask you an honest question? Have you ever made a decision after you thought about it a couple days, a week, a month, maybe even a year, and when you made that decision, didn't have the most desired outcome either? 9 out of 10 people are going to say, well, yeah, we have. So really what experts tell you, because remember, 96% of all contractors fail in our industry, which is no reason why over 9.6 out of 10 people you see, you're not going to be happy with the outcome, right? Which is kind of scary. Because if I line up 10 contractors today, and I pick the third one on the 13th day, does that change the time frame it took me to make the decision, or the contractor I chose? Or I guess the contractor I chose. So if it was a good or bad decision, whose fault is that? I guess it'd be your decision for picking that contractor. So really what experts say, it doesn't matter the time it takes to make the decision, just about educated you are when you do make the decision. Would you agree with that? Think about this, for instance. When you were a kid and you studied for a test, when did you study for a test? Right before, right after you took it. Why did you do that?
Fresh
Information.
So everything was fresh in your mind, right? So if I would have studied my butt off for that test, or crammed right before the night before the test, right? And then my professor came in and canceled the exam because he had somebody that was sick or some event happened, and now prolonged that test for 2 weeks. And I would never to study for that test again. How well would I do on that test a couple weeks later down the road? I'd bomb it, right? Because we know the best time to make an educated and logical decision is when the facts are in front of you. Because I'm sure you're going to say, because it doesn't matter if you make a decision today, it doesn't matter if you make it a couple weeks down the road, it just matters about how educated you are when you do make the decision. Wouldn't you agree? So you already know you're 100% confident, trust Renewal by Anderson to do the work, right? I know the project has to be done. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions. If you answer yes to all 3, let me go ahead and welcome you to Renewal by Anderson. And I'm sure you'll let me save you some extra money today, knowing you're 100% confident. Number 1, do you need to have the project done? Yes? Yes? Number 2, do you want to have the project done? Yes? Yes? And number 3, most important thing, since you know everything else is a fit, can you afford to have the project done, or what I'm sharing with you? If you can answer yes to all 3 of those, let me welcome you to Renewal by Anderson. That's a very long word track, but I promise you, if you can execute on that, man, you will turn those around probably 6 out of 10 times. You're in 40%, you're not going to. But 6 out of 10 times, you're going to make sense to them. Because again, you have to have them revisit the pain, right? Until they're willing to revisit the pain and realize the pain they're creating, the fear is, they don't know what they don't know, they don't understand it. So they've created this big monster of a pain that might not be as big as what they're expecting. They don't realize that it was the contractor they chose, not the time frame it was to make it. And when you really put them back on that slice of life, that's a really big deal. And what I did is I just pulled the root out of the ground. There's no more root for them to lie on. Now if they don't do it, now I'm going to get the secondary objection, which might be the real one if that's not it. But pretty much when people say the word never, Look for the keyword never. Never always means that they have before. I never make snap decisions. I never buy in the same night. I never means they have before. That's what a word track you need to pay attention to. So the root cause on isolating the objection is not the contractor they chose. It's basically finding your word track around it. I know Lamar had just recorded that, so I'm sure he can share that with everybody. But that's a long word track, but I promise you, I worked on that for years. It works. It works really freaking well. But again, you have to have good rapport, and you got to take your voice down. If you're coming dominant at them, or trying to combat, or basically being too salesy on that, you're gonna lose your value into it. You got to do it like you're talking to a friend. That make sense? Okay. Learn something? All right. So next,